Today's topic is how to run a website audit. I think, first of all, we have to define what exactly is a website audit and why would people want to run one in the first place. James Breese, take it away.
So let's just quantify this. How to run a fitness website audit. Let's just make that clear. And I think it's really important. I think a lot of fitness professionals out there will probably convey the same feeling that they've built a website or they've had somebody build them a website, but no one goes to it, no one can find it, or it doesn't convert in the way it does, right? I think lots of people.
They're not getting leads, probably, or they're wondering why they're not getting leads, perhaps.
And they've spent a lot of money on it, whatever it is, it's lots of things going on because there's way more to it than just building a website and going, hey, it's done. Building a website is actually fairly straightforward. The hard part is the technical side of things to make it get found. Because the reason you want to run a fitness website audit is because if you're getting no traffic, if you're getting no leads coming in, guaranteed, it's not a website problem, it's you haven't connected it properly to make it be found in Google. That's the biggest problem I'm seeing time and time again. So it's not a website problem, it's a you problem, okay? That's most of the time I'm seeing it. So it's hard, it's complicated. Yes, it's a bit technical, absolutely. And I've got lots of experience of doing this, so it makes things a lot easier for me to talk about it. But you want to run a fitness website audit if you're not getting traffic in from Google and people are not finding you. Because number one place you should be getting traffic and leads from every single month is from Google. Why? Because that's the highest rate of search user intent. People are looking for personal trainer near me, personal trainer Cardiff, coffee shop near me, accountant near me, whatever it is. They're searching for these things on Google. That's where you go to find a professional service, right? However, you don't listen to the guys on these business coaches say you just need social media. That's how to run an unprofessional business, and you'll never get found. And you'll always be trapped in this repeated cycle of having to create more content, and feel exhausted and overwhelmed. Whereas, guess what? If you get this right, it's a peaceful way of getting more clients on demand like clockwork. It really is. So
yeah, well, we did a whole podcast on the lifespan of online content, so go and listen to that one as well. But I think it's probably not something that people consider, because it's certainly not something I would have ever considered back in the day when I didn't have a website but considered getting one. I probably would have thought, great, I'll get someone to do me a website, it'll put up, and boom, magic, I'll get found and I'll start getting clients.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not that. You've got to. It's like if you're standing in a forest and you shout out, can anyone hear you? It's one of those types of questions. It's like you've got to indicate to Google, the search engine, and there's other search engines. You've got Bing now as well from Microsoft, who are out there, and a few other ones, to indicate to them that you're actually alive and that you exist. Because if you're not, you don't exist to them, then you don't exist. And that's why 91% of web content does not get found. Let me just rephrase that. 91% of web traffic does not get found by people on Google. The top 9% only get found.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Andrew, I'm going to bring you in briefly before we talk about exactly what a website audit is and what it can do for you. You've had websites back in the day. Did they work for you?
I did have them back in the day. I remember my first website was, my first fitness website was back in 2002. Very rudimentary, very basic, and looks absolutely shocking compared to now. But it did work to a degree until it didn't. As the internet progressed, this rudimentary website fell further and further behind and was ignored because of the basic look and feel, not to mention incorrect messaging. I was selling myself as opposed to telling the story that my client base understood and a story that resonated with them. But they stopped working, and it was only when I realised in talking with likes of James and that you've got to look at the framework, make sure that your page speeds, that your page loads quickly, and things like that were significantly important. And equally, the message that you put on, the story that you tell in the actual content. The sites I had latterly They looked pretty, but they weren't generating leads. I'd use the services of a graphic designer who was skilled, but they didn't understand marketing and how to put together compelling content that was going to resonate with the intended audience.
Yeah. So James, when you run a website audit, what statistics are we looking for? What are we looking at? What are the important things?
Yeah, so to break it down, because I can go super geeky. So in terms of in layman terms, there's three areas I look at. There's three key areas, and that is the technical aspect of the website. That is basically the engine of the car, right? I want to see what's happening under the hood. I then want to look at the search and discoverability side of things. That means, can people find you? It's as simple as that. And then the third thing is what we call the content and UX, the content and user experience, because together the three of them are so important. They come together to allow people to effortlessly find you and book in for a strategy call or start working with you. So let's start with the technical aspects. You can do this yourself. It's really easy. You go to gtmetrics.com and you put your URL in that system. Don't worry about all the fancy numbers that come up. All you're looking for is a grade between A and F, right? Most business owners and fitness business owners I see, they're coming in about C and D, basically. That's what I'm seeing here in terms. And what that does, it looks at the site build and the structural integrity of the website in the very simplest way of explaining things. Now, with that, there's another website called Google PageSpeed. Then Google will tell you how well it's performing. So you go to Google PageSpeed, you enter your website, and it'll tell you how fast your website is on mobile and on desktop. Remember, we have to go for a mobile-first world because about 55% of all interaction now is on a mobile device. So you've got to think about that. So you're looking for stats on Google PageSpeed on mobile and desktop. Numbers we're looking for, you have no excuse these days not to have an A for the structural integrity on GT metrics, because the way you can build websites, it has to be an A. Anything less than A is poor, right? It really is. You have no excuse, and it's very simple to do that if you have the right framework in place. The page speeds are harder. You want to be above 90% for desktop, but anything above 70% on mobile is good, because it's harder to rank higher on mobile because you need some fancy tools to help you load faster. So it's around 70 for mobile on the Google page things and 90 above on there. So that's a technical aspect. So I'm looking at build quality structural integrity, which you do in GT metrics, and then you go to Google page speeds and that'll tell you how fast the website is. Now, if you don't have those...
And I think that's before you go on to the third one, sorry, James, I think that's a massively important one, the speed, because, this day and age, people's attention span is very short, and, if something takes too long to load, what do? You click off it straight away, don't you? It's like, I can't be bothered waiting for that.
There's so many studies on that, and how, the difference between a 2-second page load time and a 5-second page load time on e-commerce charts, it's off the scale. I think there's a difference of 10%.
Who's got time to wait 5 seconds in this world?
Exactly. But it shows the bounce back rates and what happens, and people don't do it and be able to click it. So it's huge. So that's just under this. What we're talking about now is just under the first section of technical aspects. So then we go from technical to what we call the search and discoverability, which is the SEO, search engine optimization stuff. So very simply, if you type in strength matters into Google, you'll find strength matters, and the business name will come up next to it. If you type your business name into Google, will your business name come up? Will it look like clear and straightforward? Will it cover the biggest part of the page? Yes or no? It's a simple question. If not, you've got a search issue. Now, the next thing is let's just take personal trainers. This is a great example of this. Personal trainer Cardiff. If you're a personal trainer in Cardiff and I Google personal trainer in Cardiff, if you're not showing on there, you have an issue, right? It's a big issue, because you need to be showing up there. So then, therefore, you have a search and discoverability issue that you need to address. And the only way to do that is by making sure your website is uploaded to the search engines properly and it's properly optimized. So when I mean by properly optimized, this is the key thing now. It comes back to the initial first stage. If you have a slow website, Google will not rank you because it follows what we call the double EAT process. Expertise, experience, authority, and trust. That's the process of how it ranks your web page, right? Google says it's clear documentation about it. So a user experience is the key thing here. If it's slow loading, poor structural integrity, Google will not rank you. Full stop. No matter what we do technically, it will not rank you. You've got to boost that up first to begin with. So it's such key. The two are so interlinked, right? You have no idea, yet people ignore it. The search speeds of most websites are so poor because they put big high-ass res images on there. They're like 15 megabytes, and it takes ages to download. You're always going to struggle. No matter how good your copy is or how good your website is, if it's slow to load, it ain't going to happen. So search engine optimization, there's lots of techniques and tactics you can do. However, if you're not being found, there's an issue. So that's part of the audit we want to look at. Yes, they could all look at meta tags. You can look at all these other different things, but let's save that for another day for the real geeks who want to learn all about that stuff later on. So
absolutely, we can do a more in-depth geek one. Andrew, I wonder how your first website would rank now, how well it would do.
I could tell you, someone would look at it and they would be immediately turned off. They'd be hitting the back button if they were to find it at all. Google would be thinking.
Are there any things when you look at a website, Andrew, that put you off? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a clean look, lots of white space, a good image, that we call it the hero section at the top, that first image, clear call to action, and something that's not cluttered with buttons here, there, and everywhere, and flashing pop-ups and that. They're immediately red flags to me, and I'm hitting that back button.
And that's the key thing. So it comes into point number 3. So we haven't even got to the third bit, and to even get to this stage, you have to earn the right. So if, say, you've got a great website, you can be found. Well, we've got the third part of the puzzle here now, which is the content and user experience. And exactly right, Andrew. Some of the websites I'm seeing are so cluttered, and the content and user experience is absolutely paramount, because once you land on somebody's website, you have 3 seconds. 3 seconds, right, for them to make a decision whether they're going to stay on that website or jump off. And in those 3 seconds, you've got to tell them what it is you do, who's it for, and what do I do next, right? Because that's earns you the right to then start scrolling down the page. So you have less than 3 seconds to make that judgment, that impression on people before they even get there. And when people land on that web page, what I'm seeing is like random stuff, or like half semi-naked pictures of themselves, like doing like a selfie in the mirror or something like that. It's incredible what I'm seeing. But the content user experience it just encapsulates everything that we've done so far, right? To understand that if you haven't got great content on there in terms of simplicity of message, exactly right, Andrew, clear message at the top that says to people what it is you do, who do you help, what do I do next, then you're going to struggle no matter what. And then the rest of the time, it's just all about features. I do a great workout. I do X training session. They're putting their prices on the website. People don't care about that. They just don't care about it. That's all features. You want to share the benefits of what you can do to help them. And if you just did that alone, it would make a massive difference on the conversions with your website. It's less about you. As Andrew said before, many a time, it's more about your clients and the people you want to help. It's their hero journey you're trying to convey across.
Yep, absolutely. I just sat here thinking how important it is to make sure you get your website right, because if we go through the stats again, 91% of content doesn't get found. So you only got a 9% chance of getting found in the first place. Then you got 3 seconds to make an impression. Those stats are not in many people's favor, are they? So getting your website found and getting it right is huge for, getting leads in, isn't it?
And it comes back to this idea of attracting clients peacefully. What I mean by peacefully is that a lot of people a lot of personal trainers are what we're doing reactive. I don't know how to describe it really. They're just copying everybody else. They're doing daily content on social media. My God, that's stressful. You're stressing, you're bound by this. However, the approach we're saying you should try and adopt is this. Guess what? Set up systems where people come to you and find you naturally. And if you have a great website, organic traffic, it costs nothing, right? And I'm being serious. A personal training market is not a competitive market. It really isn't. People think it is, but on Google, it really isn't that competitive because the websites are poor. They haven't got any of this stuff nailed down, and it's an unprofessional market, if I'm being brutally honest. So it's wide open for people to make a difference here and to be found to help more people, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly, James, and very quickly, because we've gone quite long on this one, summarize what would be a couple of key takeaways for people on this.
Key takeaways: you want a fast website that is structurally sound, and you can do that by going to gtmetrics.com or Google PageSpeed, and it will tell you exactly. The numbers don't lie. Number 2 is you need to be found on Google. If you haven't got a Google business profile page and it's not optimized to be found in Google, i.e. in Search Site Console, to be a bit more technical, you're going to struggle. And number 3 is if you haven't got a clear message with a clear avatar and a clear call to action on the homepage that loads fast and can be found, you will never get any clients converting with your website. So it's less of a website issue. It becomes more of a you problem when you get to that stage.
Absolutely. There we go. We can actually help you with this. So don't worry if you want help. If you want a website audit, please do book in for a free website audit by going to strengthmatters.com/audit. And that is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.